Welcome to Kranky Live, the show where bold minds meet real talk. This isn't your average sports or news show. It's where we break down sports, culture, and controversy with facts, fire, and fearless honesty. Here, truth cuts through the noise, and hype gets exposed. From football to track and field, from world issues to local debates, we ask the tough questions, speak without fear, and go deeper than the headlines. We don't follow the crowd, we set the trend. While others recycle the same tired takes, we bring fresh insight, unfiltered analysis, and bold perspectives. No echo chambers, no puppet talk, just real conversation for people who think for themselves. Listen with your brain, not just your ears. Think critically, question boldly, and speak freely. This is Kranky Live, where reason rules the mic and truth always wins. Come on, let's get into it. Good night. Let me know if you can hear me. Drew Ross, bless up Drew Ross. Can you hear me? I'm gonna make sure we're coming in live and clear before I start the program. Good night, everybody. This is the Kranky Live program. We're here to talk Jamaica football. Let me know if you can hear me, Drew Ross. We're here to talk Jamaica football, and we have a lot to talk about. Over the last, since last week, when Jamaica got knocked out of the automatic qualifying spot for the World Cup, we've been talking about the coaching situation. And we have a lot to talk about that tonight. So I'm going to do my hailing up first, and then I'm going to take my 20, 30 minutes to just talk, and then I will take calls. But I have a extensive soliloquy I need to do before I start receiving calls. So let me heal up the people who have joined early, because we know Jamaicans are always late, and then some people come late and they want to talk for a long period of time. And by the way, these shows will no longer go over 2 hours. I do have a day life or a night life, whatever you want to call it. So I'm not going to do more than 2 hours. So I'm going to start 7:20, want to finish 9:20. And I don't want to procrastinate and take a long time to jump into the show. So Drew Ross, Drew O'Grind, Sylvester, KNYX, El Padrino 6299. Thank you for being here. And those of you who are in the chat, many of you in the chat, but you haven't signaled that you're here in writing. I appreciate you being here. And as you come in, people, please hit the like button. Now, tonight, we're going to continue the theme that we have experienced over the last week plus around the JFF in some respects. Most of the conversations that we have had previously, and by the way, I'm speaking English today, so those of you who think I'm speaky-spokey, I will be speaky-spoking tonight. Most of the conversation that we have had centers around, good night, Romain, centers around the new appointed coach of Reggae Boyz, Rudolph Speid, who assumes his role come December 15th. Now, I want to be clear, because I think sometimes people think that we have grudges. I actively respect Rudolph Speid. I have had a number of conversations with Rudolph. Rudolph tells me when I engage with him that I'm always, how did he put it? I'm using a Jamaican term, picking on him, meaning I'm focused on him, and there are other things out there, including other members of JFF, who don't get the same level of scrutiny that I provide to him. And that is definitely true. And one of the reasons because he's in the forefront of a lot of what transpired with the JFF and with Jamaica football, not only as part of the JFF organization, but also having his own team that he owns, manage, coach, sporting director, whatever. Cook and battle watcher, they always call it. And so he's always going to be bearing the brunt of any scrutiny that is provided by those in the social media space, not traditional media, because they're under no scrutiny. And we'll talk to social media into the discussion. So I am going to pivot tonight somewhat and talk. And let me just finish the Rudolph Speid component, which is I have nothing against Rudolph Speid. In fact, I actually respect Rudolph Speid. And at one point, people were saying Kranky is a JFF agent and is a JFF spy and is a JFF XYZ. And I lack integrity and all sort of stuff. But I am a person who live by certain principles and certain way of operating and certain way of doing things. I don't follow the crowd. And that's not to beat my chest. I just don't. If the crowd is going the right direction that I think they should go in, I'm going to go with the crowd. If they're not, I'm not going to go down that route. I'm going to take my own route. I think I know what good looks like. I don't know everything, so I try to learn as much as possible from anyone, anywhere, anytime. So a homeless person, and they're doing something, I'm going to watch them and say, you know what? I could learn from that. Because I don't think anyone, as I've said numerous times, has a monopoly on knowledge and intellect. And you can learn from people. Even when people say they ask stupid questions, you can learn from them. So I can learn. And I think Rudolph Speid, he's going to hate me saying this, would be best served if he was pursuing roles like in CONCACAF, because the Caribbean in totality has about what? 31 members of a 40-something member CONCACAF, and they have zero power as far as I'm concerned. So he would be best served to function in that capacity. He's a bulldog. He's a go-getter. He gets things done. And he's very aggressive. And he's very confident. Some people would call him arrogant. And therefore, he would probably serve the Caribbean well and Jamaica by default well if he win that role. But as it relates to Jamaica football, and get my principles, I have certain concerns about what has been transpired over the years. So sit back, relax. We're going to go on a journey. And then when I finish the journey, we'll have the engagement. Because I know a lot of you want to have your perspective and say. We're going to break down the real crisis with the JFF, right? Because we're not going to do the surface issues, people. Tired of the surface issues. We like to do the surface thing. And we have done this before, but we are repeated because it bears repeating and needs to be repeated. The leadership failure at the JFF is at the highest level. It's not at just Rudolph Speid level. It's at the highest level. It goes to the board and it goes to the president, Michael Ricketts. Now, I've said this numerous times. Michael Ricketts is somebody I've met, I've spoken to, I've interviewed, and it's somebody I do have respect for and I like engaging with. I think there are very few people you meet in life, like Michael Ricketts, who, when you meet them, you actually see the charisma, you see the charm, you see the engagement, you see the genuine person manifest itself when you engage them. Sometimes you meet people and you're just like, oh, I just want to get out of that person's presence. There's somebody you gravitate towards them. So he's a really nice person. But he reminds me of a CEO who used to work at a company that I've talked about before, who the greatest person you want to engage with. Brilliant, makes a ton of money, smart as hell, reaches zenith of his profession. I won't mention his name, but as high as you can think about, or as high in the US, actually. But the thing that he didn't do well, and that Ricketts doesn't do well, is they don't manage conflicts well. I don't mean conflict in traditional sense, meaning they don't manage difficult situations well. They don't like confrontation. They take the easy way out. And you can't run an organization, especially the one with strong personalities, and don't have a strong person at the head. The coaching mess with Jamaica didn't start with Speid. It didn't start with McClaren. It didn't start this year. The challenge with the JFF didn't start with Speid. It didn't start this year. It started before. It's years of governance breakdown under the same administration, the same president, the same board. Now, we thought that we had made 3 steps forward, but it seemed like we had made 4 steps backward. So tonight we'll spend some time on the Federation, talk about what doesn't work, decisions that lack transparency, conflicts ignored, and how football suffers because of this. So let's start the conversation. So if we understand the crisis around Speid being appointed interim Reggae Boy coach as of December 15th, and the fans, a lot of fans, some fans support the hiring more than some do not. They have distrust in the Federation, which just get exacerbated, it worsens. And we have to sort of sit down and watch the trail of leadership decisions that brought us to this point. And let me say this, there's a petition that's been going around. I think the petition is more around not wanting Rudolph in the seat. So if you wanna effect change, you got to think about, where do I go to effect such change? So you may have to go to That petition you're moving around, maybe you send it to Babsy Grange, send it to the government and say, my tax dollar to support the JFF, because let them do it. And send it to FIFA. That's how it works. I'm sure Rudolph won't be happy with me, but Rudolph must know that I have nothing against him personally. I just don't like to see chaos. And I like to see things being done appropriately. So let's walk through some of it. So if you have the petition people, I don't know who manage the petition, the whole thing, please do. Now, hear another person, let me call it Toxic Boss. People are saying him should go coach a national team, I should do that. I don't really want to get into that. What I want to say about that is that you can't use no Malta license to coach nobody team. Malta is something you drink. That's all I have to say. And you can't be a toxic person, but you can't get along with nobody and want to run people football nation. Them things are not going to work. So, me not support that. I tell you that right now. We're not like toxicity, even though I've been told I'm toxic also, but we're not support nobody who's toxic. So let's break down to the timeline of things. We had the McClaren hired without a global search. We heard that there was a Rolodex of coaches and bunch of resume received and bunch of application. And the person got hired, the person had affiliation during the pandemic. I was working with FIFA on this other youth development program. So there was much global search done. Can I hire the person we're familiar with? And if you take it back to now, we have the Gold Cup collapse. Not happened at the Gold Cup collapse, except there was no corrective action except that Rudolph was appointed technical advisor. Now, technical advisor, who is a part of the committee that is charged with reviewing the coach's performance. Right? Which is really interesting. So you become the advisor when you're supposed to assess the coach and say, what do you want, keeping or not, or things need to change. You went in to help, I guess, and we saw no change. We see no tactics during the qualifiers. Kick and run football. McClaren, after drawing the game, I call it losing the game, because when I go automatically World Cup, resigns abruptly. JFF silent for about 48 hours, and then Speid get installed in less than, say, 24 hours. Only 2 candidates were interviewed. This was from the Gleaner, so I make it up, which was Miguel Coley and Rudolph Speid. No published job criteria, no independent selection panel, no transparency, no justification for the hire. And frankly, if you want to be truly fair and frank, you would say, this is not how modern football federation operates. Not at all. And the crisis is about management and shortcuts and politics, not leadership. And most importantly, if you are the person who hired the person, or you're the person, let's say you don't say hire him, because you don't take responsibility, because you find a way to shrunk accountability and responsibility. Let's say you're the person who made a recommendation to hire him. You didn't fire, you traveled with him. I think you went to, what's the name? The Unity Cup in London. I don't know if you went to the Gold Cup, but I assume that you probably did, or you observe it. Unity Cup went really well. Gold Cup was a failure, which was leading into World Cup. We played a team like BVI. We seemed like we were regressing. Played Cuba at home, 10-man, draw with them. Things weren't looking good. And so we failed, and yet Rudolph is now going to be the coach, which means we're rewarding failure. Because Rudolph is the overall architect for all of this. And if he's the architect and we fail, how do we reward failure? Now let's take a step back, people, because it's very important to take a step back. Just think about the history of the JFF and the years of warning ignored, coach frustrated, player disenchantment, players alienated. We've seen it all, right? For the men's team, you remember about, 4 years ago? When people like Pinnock joined? When they had the Astro trip, when the JFF and I think Damian Lowe was running sort of the front for the Reggae Boyz, they had big issue. The players boycott the team. They went to Europe, brought in some new players. And some of those players like Pinnock came into the team of that situation where they didn't have players who wanted to go play against the USA. And I think we lost 3-0 or something like that. That was sort of the start. And the JFF and players have had issues for years. It was one of the first times the players decided, you know what, we don't take it no more. And the players came out looking better because the players were very professional. Some recording was taking place. The players were very, very professional in that whole construct, in that whole way how things work. Very professional. And the JFF came across like very unprofessional. Very unprofessional. And a lot of these disputes were about bonus disputes, travel fiasco, unprofessional arrangement, player refusing selection because of this, breakdown interest with the federation. And then subsequently, after that, when we're going to World Cup qualifiers under TAPA, when they're coming from Latin America, they had the whole breakdown. And then the GenSec at the time was replaced on an interim basis, and then we come with a new GenSec after that. Right? That's when Dennis Strong came in. And let's not talk about the Reggae Girlz. What happened in Australia, them going to the World Cup. Mali was involved in that whole construct in terms of helping them get there. The fight they had with JFF, money issue, poor treatment. And yours truly actually supported JFF in some aspects of the situation with the girls. So we now say we don't have some culpability here, but I always believe in right and wrong. And if I assess situation and see something not done right, I'll call it out. I didn't support all the girls' action at all, but I also didn't support some of JFF action in them not wanting to be the, I'm going to call it the bigger person and make the jump or make the decision to engage with the girls. Everybody's standing in them corner. Everybody's stubborn. It's very unprofessional on both sides. But I think the JFF to me was more unprofessional because they should be the adults in the room, or they're the older people. Everybody's an adult, and they didn't operate accordingly. But the girls complained about poor treatment, lack of professional structure. They made public statement blasting the JFF. It was a global embarrassment when discussion was held globally about, people have to do GoFundMe to go World Cup. We are going this thing to people that's important. And then we saw where a coach who achieved the highest in Jamaica's football history in terms of progress into, the second round of the World Cup, not have his contract not being reviewed. And part of it was a confrontation he had with a board member of the JFF, where she come on TV and said, "Nah, go so." So she getting our feelings. And I'm not saying what the coach did was right in some respects, but she getting our feelings, and the JFF back her, because them always back each other. So then we come down to the Hallgrímsson situation. So we hire Hallgrímsson after the debacle with Tapa and Paul Hall. We hire Hallgrímsson. And Hallgrímsson eventually fires. Right? I do this history for a reason. Hallgrímsson fires people. Hallgrímsson came with work up with I'm gonna say work up pedigree, but with good pedigree. He had Iceland beat England in the Euros. At one point, he was more of a defensive-minded coach, but he had structure, and he had, kahunas, as you want to call it, because he stood up to the JFF. But eventually, he had good background. He was a dentist, a very smart man, professionally well acclaimed, and also from football standpoint, he had done enough to warrant respect, and he had the requisite credentials and license. And he resigned not because of players, but because of JFF dysfunction. Right? He reported, the reports supposedly suggest administrative confusion, lack of support, poor planning, interference, which seemed to be a theme, and communication breakdown. And by the way, I'll have to say this. I got to stop for 1 second and promote something. I did write an article on my website today about the governance situation in Jamaica. So if you want to go to you can just go right to the link. You can read the article and give me your view. And tell me if you see that this said a similar article in the traditional press. So this is not for subscribing. Just read the article. Probably much shorter than this dissertation I'm doing. So Hallgrímsson fired us. And what was funny about that firing is we were so happy to accept his resignation. We didn't stop and think to say, who would fire an organization? Who would leave a job in the middle of the job where the possibility into the World Cup was so apparent and didn't have a job to go to? And because we didn't have the people with the perceptiveness to see this, we didn't say to Hallgrímsson, you know what? We're not accepting your resignation. Because I guess maybe we've been burned by Schaefer before that, and we had to pay him off. We were concerned, I guess, about the implication. We're concerned about the implication, the financial implication. So therefore, what we did was we accepted his resignation gladly. And if we had showed some patience and some fortitude and some perceptiveness, what we would have done is say, you know what, we're not accept your resignation. Because we IFK go work up. You break a contract and then you're going to be liable to us. But we said, no. And then he goes sign up with Ireland. And they had hired him way before he left after Copa. They had him from the March. So they would have had to pay, we would have made some money out of them, and we could determine what that money is because they wanted him. We would make some money out of them, but we didn't do that because we don't have that perceptiveness, frankly, which is kind of sad. So he fired us. And apparently, based on the New York Times article, he basically said to McClaren, who was pursuing the job, was being hired, that he won't last 2 months in the job. Now, McClaren outshone him, and that became a good prediction because McClaren lasted 18 months. But the reason for anyone to see going to last 2 months is because they believe it was a very dysfunctional organization to be a part of, and it would be impossible to work with these individuals. Now, we also had a coach. And we had a coach for the under-20 girls who actually did well in the Caribbean and was let go and had no idea why he was let go. We also had John Wall, who was a coach for the under-20. He advocated for overseas-born players, insisted local talent wasn't sufficient, didn't have the right quality, wasn't at the right level. JFF removed him, reassigned him, then terminated him. And we were told by Rudolph, so I'm going to call him out, that John Wall got reassigned because he couldn't do multiple functions. Now, Wall officially filed a complaint with FIFA, and I think Rudolph said on KLAS that they had to compensate him because he was wrongfully dismissed. FIFA ruled in his favor. So JFF Ford pays compensation. Money which they don't have. Okay? Money which they don't have. When FIFA rule against the people, that means you have a governance crisis. Now let's think about the coaching. And the reason I'm going through all of this, I'm trying to show you the history of the JFF and the history of the JFF under Michael Ricketts, someone who I like actually and respect in some respects, but who I also believe is the main problem, not Rudolph Speid. Now, in terms of coaching instability, we had Whitmore fired, Whitmore hired, Whitmore fired, Paul Hall hired, Paul Hall fired. Paul Hall was interim. Hallgrímsson hired. Hallgrímsson fired them, not fired. McClaren hired. McClaren resigns. And now we get to Rudolph. He's been appointed immediately. This is in football, people, planning. This is what I call political turnover. And we're not a profitable organization like some EPL teams can just fire and hire people like the Gota style. Now, we had a short period of some, what I'm going to call financial stability. When we had a situation in Latin America with the team, the president, I think, asked Dennis Chung, who had worked across a lot of different organizations and is very up to date in terms of what an understanding of what corporate governance looks like, what good corporate governance look like, what good process look like, what good procedures look like, what good behavior look like. And he came in and effectuated and made some changes to help the organization become more transparent, become better at what they do, to have much more accountability. And that was reflected in some, I'm going to call it financial stability for a while, which obviously have changed now. Right? One of the things that Dennis talked about when he first came in was he'd be in the office 10, 11 o'clock and nobody turned up. Which show you that things weren't running the right way. So he put in place policies, procedures, standards, at least from a day-to-day operational standpoint, which might, based on my understanding, and this doesn't come from Dennis, because I have various sources. It didn't come from Dennis, it came from other people. Even some of the people who didn't appreciate it would say this to me, they didn't appreciate Dennis. They didn't appreciate Dennis and his stringent method of how he managed the finances. Now, let me just say this. Let's be clear. I am not saying anybody's corrupt, because even though corruption doesn't necessarily mean financial impropriety, that's how it's interpreted and that's how it's digested. So I don't call people corrupt unless I have receipts. And corruption could be you have conflict, and conflict doesn't work really well. That could be corruption. But people use corruption most sense, especially in this arena around defalcation or stealing of money and taking money inappropriately, And I'm not saying anybody's corrupt, so let me just do that disclaimer. So there's no ambiguity in terms of what I'm saying. Okay? Now, the real problem is, the real problem. So I'll give you the background. The real problem is Ricketts and the board, and they have a constitution which they basically ignore. So let's say what the Constitution says. Because the Constitution, you can go online and get the Constitution, it's there. So we're talking some receipts now. We're not talking about vibes, we're talking about the Constitution. And we talk about a lot of the discussion of late that we have had in a lot of these forums is about Rudolph Speid, his appointment as the coach of the JFF, and the number of roles he holds and the conflicts. On paper, the JFF actually looks modern enough. They have a constitution. And I've talked about the Constitution before in previous shows. It talks about integrity. It talks about fairness. It talks about independence. The board is supposed to provide oversight and strategy. The president is supposed to implement decisions. Don't rule like a king. And here's the killer line in the Constitution. Any member of the board must withdraw from debate and from taking a decision if there is any risk or possibility of a conflict of interest. Let me repeat that. Any board member must withdraw from debate or from taking a decision if there's any risk or possibility of a conflict of interest. It didn't say serious conflict, not proven conflict, any risk or possibility. Now, I was listening to KLAS, yes, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Must have been yesterday. And it's got to be yesterday because it's Monday. And they were talking about conflict. They're trying to define conflict, and they did a poor job of defining conflict. The conflict that you have is almost inherent in the structure or process that you have. The conflict doesn't have to be actualized. That means it does not be executed against for it to be a conflict. The conflict is there just based on how things are set up. Now, you can help to manage that conflict, but it's already there. And what you try to do is, sometimes you can eliminate conflict, try to avoid the conflict. And if you can't avoid the conflict, you put measures in place to mitigate the conflict. Now, and we've talked about it. We'll go through some of that. Now, the same constitution of the JFF also says, this is important, people, independent committee must meet independent standards. No, so that means no business ties, no executive role, no coach relationship. That compromise judgment. They must meet independent standard. So on paper, the JFF has constitution that should protect the game. In substance and in practice, the leadership behave as if there's no constitution. There is no conflict. There's no constitution. The constitution exists. And this is where Michael Ricketts has failed us. Failed us immensely. Because the conflict is there, and we'll go to him a little bit later, in so much apparent, so detailed, it's actually nauseous. Now let's think about the presidential failure. We don't have a national football philosophy. We don't have no style of play. We don't even have a technical director, because we have one, but we can't see him. We don't have a really modern governance structure. We lack transparency. We don't have no independent technical decision-making process. We have no accountability for mistakes. You can't mess up, you can't fail, and you get rewarded. We have public communication, but it's to pacify the public. Or when we have public communication, like we interview coaches, they manage it, so you can't really say much. When we fail, we don't come out and acquiesce to the public and say to the public, yes, we failed, and therefore we fall on our sword. Now we roll out some under 15 team that did well in the Caribbean. When the U20 failed miserably, we try to cover it up. When we have crisis management, like we have now, it's poorly managed. And then what happens is they get defensive, and we have no corrective leadership. Then get defensive, run, go hide. And then they tell us, here's a big thing that we are told all the time. We're a quasi-private organization, which in Jamaica term mean, "Uno can't do nothing. Uno can't do nothing to we. We're above reproach. We're above what you can do. You can't do anything to us." Now, it's not only the president has failed us, the board has failed us. They seem to rubber stamp any decision that's made by a few. No real oversight in terms of technical choices. When you hear recommendations made, you never hear recommendations made or something brought to a committee and the committee turn it down or something. Right? That board and the president allow conflict of interest to manifest itself and to worsen. And I was told, people, that the conflict doesn't just sit with Rudolph Speid, but obviously, as I said, he's the one out there in front. I was told by internal sources that there are a number of conflicts in the organization that are not managed appropriately. Number of conflicts. For the JFF, there's no strategic direction. It's really sad. No reform takes place. When things go AWOL, no reform not take place. And obviously, we have lack of independence, which is very, very obvious. Now, let's talk about the Rudolph Speid conflict of interest. And Rudolph, I see I watch Rudolph, so don't get vexed with me, but me have to call it out. You know, it's a mistake, sir. I know you watch Rudolph, but you have to call it out. We've talked about this numerous times, but he's a JFF board member. He's a technical committee chair and also a member. So he's a technical committee member. He's chair of the technical committee. He's a board member. He owns Cavaliers, sporting director of Cavaliers, coach of Cavaliers. That means the Cavaliers is a decision maker, the main decision maker. And therefore, he's an influential, and because of his role in the technical committee and what he states and technical advisor, he's an influential voice in national team selection and development. That goes without saying. Now tell me this. In which meeting can a man sit at the JFF? Can somebody with all these roles and not have a conflict of interest? Please explain that to me. And then tell me how you can effectively manage those conflicts. And in most organizations, as in the JFF Constitution, where decisions are made, which may have some apparent possibility of conflict, you're supposed to recuse yourself. But if you recuse yourself, then how are you going to be effective as a chair, even though the decisions may be conflicting? It doesn't make any sense. Let me give you an example. If the board is discussing national squad selection, you may have Cavaliers players involved, so Rudolph not going to be part of the discussion. If you're not local competition and JFF have some input, Cavaliers not them, you know. When it comes to things like things that may affect the club that have JFF implication, or things that may affect Cavaliers, you think Rudolph will make decision and say, nah, go support him club? That doesn't make no sense. So what we have is a permanent conflict of interest, which cannot be truly ameliorated or reduced or mitigated in enough sense to make it comfortable. You can't do all the things at the same time. And the Constitution says he should withdraw from debates and decisions where there's any possibility of conflict. Then the man was going to have conflict. Sometimes he can't involve in no decision making or no debate. If your whole life is about Cavaliers and JFF, then almost every decision you're going to make as part of the JFF organization is going to actually have conflict embodied in that. You can't be independent and benefiting at the same time. You can't be the regulator and be the beneficiary. That don't make no sense. So the issue, which as I've been told before, is not solely about Rudolph, it's about the construct of the JFF, how the JFF is governed, how the JFF is managed, how the JFF is led, and it's sort of sad. The JFF not only allowed one person to hold almost every possible conflicted role and still pretends it meets its constitutional standard and responsibilities and accountability. That is board failure at the highest regard. That is presidential failure. And it's a governance disgrace. Seriously. And that's where the true crisis lies. Not the coach, not the players, but the leadership that write a constitution in one hand and then step on it, break it, annihilate it in the other hand. Huh? It don't make no sense. Now let's go to Speid appointment as the coach of the national team. You only had two candidates, supposedly. Me said Herdman won the job and Simonis won the job, but then I hear the thing. It was in the Gleaner, so I hear say. Gleaner hears the newspaper. There were only two candidates. No global search. 1 day process. Speid is embedded in the structure. He was a conflicts of interest are unresolved, even though he's supposedly taking a leave of absence from his more governance roles in terms of the board. The public didn't get an explanation, but they're going to tell us we don't have to explain nothing to us because they're a private organization. Ricketts defends every decision that he makes, as he normally does, but they are flawed. And there's no audit of the process. There's nobody there who's going to hold anybody accountable. It's truly sad. You can't fix Jamaica football by continually doing or repeating the same flawed processes over and over again with the same people in the same leadership culture, the same leadership structure, doing the same old thing. And as I've said, it's a modicum or reflection of Jamaican society at large. We see it at a larger scale in aspects of Jamaican life. And here's another point here that's very, very concerning and very, very disturbing. And we should be concerned about. So normally in any society, and we're seeing it here in some of the more industrialized countries, where we have runaway government, lack of adequate governance, people in position of officer position not executing their role, we always could rely upon one organization to help give us provide some sense of accountability, what we call effective challenge, skepticism, and provide some level of transparency where possible to the public. That would be the traditional media. But here, the traditional media is failing the constituent, which is not the people, the 50-something people who vote, not the 50-something people who vote, constituent meaning the general public at large. They refuse to interrogate leaders. I heard Rudolph on KLAS, a station I used to call into, and it was a little bit embarrassing because they play this game of we're going to let the fans ask the question and they're going to just listen, but they do it in a it's a very boilerplate way of doing it, and clickbait type. You only get a certain amount of time. You can't even preface your question. And they weren't going to ask a tough question because they got the interview, and Rudolph generates clicks. Let's get it straight. He does, which suggests that, some level of importance. And they didn't interrogate him. They passed the buck. And it's not only KLAS, it's done on other programs too. They're not asking any hard questions. They're not performing interrogation or investigation. They don't challenge effectively the conflict of interest. They talk about it topically. They don't expose the systemic governance problems. They are abysmal. They are atrocious. They are a failure as it relates to the whole issue of accountability and fairness. And it's very disturbing. And these are some of the same people who have the audacity to denigrate, belittle, use the go-at terms as it relates to those in the YouTube space who are trying to be part of that so-called media landscape and environment. And it's kind of sad because you expect some level of responsibility, accountability, and good behavior and good way of operating, good way of reporting, doing the right investigation by your media parties who are charged with that, and they have failed the public terribly. They do surface level reporting. They basically are rewriting press releases. They do soft interviews, and they're maintaining access over truth. It's really, really sad, people. And I read the Observer, I read the Gleaner, I listen to TVJ. I'm getting my information from various sources, and I'm listening to this all saying, this cannot be okay. This cannot be right. And part of the reason that we have that is because everybody moves in the same circle. Nobody wants to step on any other people's toes. If I step on your toes, you may not come and get interviewed with me, and I can't get the clicks that I want. Now, yours truly, people like myself, will have some suffering from things like this because we won't get those interviews. But then you got to be able to sleep with yourself at night and have integrity and realize that, you know what? You're going to burn some bridges when you talk truth to power. You have to actually sit down and assess that and say, do you want to go down that route? Now, some people go down that route and they'll use euphemism, a way of doing it, and they feel good about themselves. but do they really get to what the key core things are that they should be focused on? Do they really challenge people? Do they make them feel accountable? Do they try to effect change, or do they just go along with the status quo? This crisis we have now is not about Speid. It's not about McClaren. It wasn't about Hallgrímsson. It's not about the players. It's about years of failed governance at the top of Jamaica football pyramid, the Federation. Your leadership defines culture. Leadership defines structure. It determines it. It defines it. Your leadership determines, importantly, success. If we want new football outcome, Jamaica needs new football leadership mindset. And I don't think this will ever happen because we have what I call an oligopoly, whereby we're a small subset of people in Jamaica who vote to select our football leaders, at least for the JFF. They're all in this together. If the JFF doesn't satisfy that constituent, which is a very small constituent, then they won't get elected. And if they satisfy them, it may not be for the right reason. So therefore, we have this conundrum. One hand has to watch the other, and that will most times is not in the best interest of the public. So we have a crisis in a sense. And the crisis is reflective of what I call challenged countries at large. This is just an example of how that conflict, you can see that conflict play out in the public domain in a country. And if you extrapolate that conflict to the country at large, it gave you a clear picture. The optics are clear about why some of these countries struggle the way they do. We heard about Nigeria players thinking about boycotting the game before they played Congo. No wonder they didn't come out successful that game because of their federation probably not paying the players or whatever the heck it was. There's always something with these organizations. You need leadership. You sometimes need new blood, new way of thinking, diversity. It could be age diversity, for example. You don't have to be race or something else or gender. You need that mixture to have that balance to progress you forward and help you to be better than who you are. Now, I am sure of this. If Rudolph continues in a role, which he hasn't assumed yet because of 14, I am sure he's going to make best efforts to be successful because he's a very ambitious person. And I think some of you, if he does assume the role, because right now, as I said before, if you don't want to assume the role and you're doing your petition, go to the government and support the JFF, put pressure upon them for not to do it. But if he does assume the role, knowing Rudolph, I'm not going to say I know Rudolph really well, but little I know of him, not little I know of him. You see people, the patwa come on to know. The little I know of him, he's going to make his best effort to be successful. And frankly, strangely enough, even though I'm against him becoming coach, I can't wait to see how this works out because I think you guys are going to be shocked, like really shocked. It both positively and negatively, frankly, but really shocked. But I look from where I sit. The problem with our football is, and when we have this whole discussion about local versus diaspora and overseas, the discussion will never be at a good level because locally we are broken. We're broken locally. So that comparative and that comparison and that situation will always be a problem because the local players who are not coached appropriately, who are not managed appropriately, who are not trained appropriately, who are not in professionalized environment in terms of how they are mentored and guided and advocated for, they will always struggle to compete on a global basis. And especially when you're trying to compete at the highest level. They will. Until we have fundamental changes in how the JFF operates and the football ecosystem operate, is always going to be a problem. And we could be as athletic as we want to be. And you hear different coaches come. You hear John Wall come and say it. You hear Hallgrímsson say it. You hear even McClaren say it in terms of the football education or lack thereof. And people always refer to her physical structure and our physical abilities versus the mental. And when that happens, when somebody tells you you're not smart enough, the worst thing we can tell people. It's the worst thing we can tell you. And that's what we've been told our footballers are not. And we don't want to say that because people see you offend them and they start getting to their feelings. But that's what the coaches have said in a very diplomatic way. So I'm going to close off this segment by saying, until we change the football hierarchy in Jamaica, until we have material changes in the JFF about how the JFF operate, until we get some new blood in the organization, we're going to keep on going around in this circle, and we'll never get to the destination we're looking for. And the destination is just not about World Cup. The destination is to have a world-class organization with people who know what good looks like, who are really interested in the development, evolution of the football, and not just in their own situation. So we done preach. So we can't take phone call now. As I said before, I had to preach first. Then I can take phone call. So let me see what the comments are. Because there have been a lot of comments and I've been seeing them. But I have to do my little preaching first. Megatron said, the incompetence of the local media is utterly dreadful. It's not that they're incompetent, it's that they are compromised. There's a difference. They're compromised. We are not doing illegal as a rate of FIFA. Unconventional, yes. DW15, I don't know what you're saying. Go look at the FIFA guidelines. What's it? Article 15, I think it is, about conflict of interest, and then come back and talk to us. Here's another thing, people. When I come do these programs, I spend time doing a lot of reading. I realize that there's some people in the media space who are very lazy. They remind me of McClaren. The one thing I can tell you is Speid won't be lazy when he does his job. So I'm gonna give him that credit. I haven't seen how he work. He won't be lazy. We have a lot of lazy people. It does take work to effectively do these things. If you want to be a good YouTuber and you want to provide perspective to people, you got to do some work. If you want to be a good media person, you got to do work. If you want to be a good coach or manager, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, got to put in the research, you have to put in the grind. You have to grind. And some people don't like the grind. So they take shortcuts, like Little Shotman will tell you. They're very topical. I was listening to Little Shotman, listening for about 15 minutes a day. And I'm listening, me laugh, I'm turning off the radio. I can't listen more than 15 minutes. Because when you ask him a question that requires some data or stats or anything that's a little bit below the surface, him can't answer. He might ask you to tell him. It's very sad, actually. And these people are the ones who are the so-called leaders in that environment. They're supposed to be the knowledgeable people. They're supposed to be the smart people, as they say. They're supposed to be the man around town, some of them. And yet, they don't put in the grind. If they put in the grind is about them getting some financial benefit out of what they're doing. It's not about public service. I mean, people come talk about their nationalists and their this and that, and I watch how they operate. I smile because you're trying to bifurcate the nationalists versus the person who is benefiting most, and you walk away saying, that's really interesting. I don't think what they're saying or what they're doing is reflective of what a nationalist is supposed to be. They're focused on the individual, not the collective. And that's a fact. Yeah, I haven't seen that actually. So Tripoli, I'm gonna tell you this. So here's gonna get myself in trouble. I think I'm talking about something about. I think Rudolph would do a better job than McClaren. Now, in this context, in terms of trying to recruit players. I mean, just look at Cavaliers. Rudolph's team is not just locally based players for Cavaliers, Look at the Cavaliers squad. Some of his better players come from outside Jamaica. The one thing I'm very concerned about, which I didn't talk about, was when you're selecting a coach to run your national team, they have to have a resume of what I call excellence. Rudolph has not won any games outside of the Caribbean. Rudolph has done a good job of getting his team to the playoff in CONCACAF outside the Caribbean. He played Cincinnati in 24? He played Inter Miami in 25. In all of those games, he lost 6-0 on aggregate to Cincinnati. He never looked like scoring against Cincinnati. He lost 4-0 on aggregate to Miami. So in 4 games against team outside the Caribbean, he lost 10-0. Worse actually. So look, he should be commended for getting out, for winning the Caribbean 2 years in a row. Or getting out, actually they're playing in the CONCACAF. Not getting out, but 1 year's running up, 1 year he won. And I also like how he managed intergame, because I watched the Cibao game when they played him in Dominican Republic. And he made some decision in that game, which I was very impressed in. So, for example, put a player on the 75 minute and took him off in the 85 minute. It was a right move, right call, and it was a great decision. So, I think it's in inter-game management, which a lot of managers, even at the highest level, do poorly on. I think he does a decent job. But when you peel the onions back, Rudolph play kick and run football. Seriously, kick and run football. It's bypassing the midfield. It's playing the ball long. When you have real good coaching people, go watch the teams that are really, really good coached on the playing field. Style of play, pattern of play, you keep the ball into this environment, because you know if you lose the ball, you got to go work for it. You can rest on offense, you chase on defense, right? And I see Rudolph, when I see Cavaliers play, I don't walk away saying they're brilliantly coached. I don't. So what was Rudolph? Let's be honest. Rudolph's role is what I call a pickup team, because what Rudolph is doing is going to be trying to get the best players, because you won't have any time to have any meaningful strategy when you only have 1 week and 2 games in 1 week, and you have 2 days before the game. People are just going to be traveling. By the time they come, it's just going to be organized. You got to try to get the best players and try to inform them how you want to play. So you want players who have been there, done that, and you want players have certain skill set that can allow you to overcome a team that will be well prepared. I think Congo is in the African competition in January, aren't they? So they're going to have time to come together as a team, and the Jamaica will not. And that's going to be very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. So how you put together a team, and look, I'll be very surprised. I'll be very, very surprised. So I'm going to say it now. I'm going to get myself in trouble. I'll be very surprised if we have 5 starters from the team that started against Curacao in the team in March. I'll be shocked, actually. I'll be shocked. Now, there are players I like to see join the national squad. There is a Denzel Hall from Rotterdam. There's Tyrese Hall from Tottenham, who's at Notts County on loan. There's Max Aarons from Rangers. There's Cameron Archer from Southampton. Those are more gettable targets. But we got to go think about other targets, like what's his name that plays for Juventus. I'm going to say it right now. Lembakisa, King, Pinnock. To me, those 3 need to be changed. The entire midfield except for Hayden. The entire forward line. Gray, Cephas can be my team. Anybody making 8 passes in 2 games can be my team. I don't care what nobody wants to say. So yes, may I say it now. I have moved on the Cephas thing again. I was on the bandwagon, I jump off again. You can't make 8 passes in 2 games. Even if you score against Trinidad, it don't make no sense to me. It don't make no sense to me. And Gray has not been effective. So if we think about what's his name from Efron Clark, him name from Coventry, is a left winger, think about bringing him into. Go find them. Go do some mad recruiting. Pick up side. I even go ask Greenwood again if he want to come. Can we watch him play today for Marseille? Man, the man can't play football. Right, boy. Watch Greenwood today. His ability on the ball is, he not play defense. I'll say that now. So if you play with Greenwood, if you have a man behind him, I protect him. Kind of play defense. Him get a yellow card to them, I laugh. Say, him just take a yellow card. Kind of like play defense. But when the ball gets to his feet, you know how to do it. If you go try get Greenwood to get the best players you can get, go get Jonathan Rowe. Go even go call up Mario Hutchinson. Can not get the England team for the next century. Go and ask all those players when they come play for Jamaica. Pick up a pickup side, R-star pickup side, R-star in quotes, and come get them for player. The players who fail to automatically qualify, most of them, the only player to me who should be guaranteed to be a starter is probably Blake, even though I don't like his on the ball. Maybe Blake, maybe Greg Lee, and Hayden. That's it. And if I get a more mobile CDM, I may put Hayden to the side too. I think you have a different team. The same old team ain't going to do it. We're playing against better competition. Congo is no joke, people. They knock out Nigeria. It's going to be a pickup game with a pickup team. We know that organized as a team and that synchronized as a team and have the chemistry as a team to say we should make any changes. Them continuity nonsense people that talk about is crap. That continuity is nonsense, it's crap, it makes no sense. You need better players. Better players going to give you better outcomes. Now, yes, those players who were here before, and yes, we understand, can think about them later, but the players I mentioned and others should be coming. They're better players, bring in the better players. We didn't make it against Curacao. We have number of players who play in our 2nd division and 4th division. You know, put them Alan. That means our players weren't good enough. Sorry, we can't keep recycling the whole thing. It's like the JFF. Can't recycle the whole thing with the same outcome. We struggle with BVI. We struggle with St. Vincent. We struggle with Cuba. We struggle in the entire Gold Cup. We struggle against Trinidad. You know, we beat them and draw with them once and should have beat them, probably could have beat them twice. The only team that we battered and bruised was 2 against Bermuda and a watered down Guatemala team in the last year and a half, frankly. Seriously. Otherwise, we are ordinary or less than ordinary. As such, to me, you got to change the team. I know a lot of people disagree with me. You need a pickup side that can do the job. The team failed. I don't know where you're going to go back to the same failed team. And what exacerbates that failure is people going to party. Hey, you see, if that was done by the diaspora-born players, they would be crucified. If they did what those 3 players did, they would be crucified. They'd be put on a cross and crucified, nailed by their heels and by their elbows. They'd be crucified if they went partying 2 nights before training and then night afterwards when they lose. Are you kidding me? And yet, when it's brought up some people in the media, I listen to them now. And kind of just sort of brush it off and laugh. And then they have the audacity to talk about commitment. And look at fool people there. It just makes your blood boil when you hear those people who are so disingenuous. Just talk about this whole commitment things. Let me ask people something. And this is the commitment analogy. For the people who are come to their for North London Derby at Tottenham against Arsenal the other day, a lot of the Arsenal players didn't come to the Arsenal Academy. A lot of the Arsenal players are not English. Do you think any of those players, because they didn't come to the academy and have the Arsenal blood in their vein, played any less hard than the players who came from Arsenal, like a Saka? Really? This asinine archaic way of thinking to substantiate and justify your argument just doesn't make any sense. But the narrative spread, and the person has a platform to spread the narrative. And it's absorbed and digested, and people love it. And some wallow in it. And those are the people who are not nationalists. They are divisive. They're not here to help and to progress. They're here to regress, spread a narrative which sounds good, make some quick money off some video, and go on with them life, which is just very disappointing. So, okay, let me say this, people. I'm taking bets. Oh, by the way, let me say this, people. Jamaica, one country of hypocrisy, you know. I was in a radio station today, a sports that does sports, but it's a Christian station. I'm in this station that talk about betting and betting ads. So maybe I'm dated because I'm not a Christian, right? You guys know me, my affiliation with Christianity and all that. But I thought it was a conflict or contrary to if you're a Christian, if you talk about betting and give ads from betting and person. Don't think they're not coincide. Am I like backwards? Maybe I'm too seasoned for this. I didn't know that betting people can go up on Christian station and talk about them things and be sponsors. That I mean money I rule the world, money I rule things. Right. Me at this station, I say, wait, this doesn't make no sense to me. And I brought it to somebody who's a Christian and they were pushing back on me, so I have to laugh. Can never try to justify them thing there. Can't justify it to me. Calling quest the speed that cover this. That sounds like some politician. People, let me just say something before I respond to this. I don't make bets. I don't gamble, right? I've always said this. I work too hard for me to gamble. I shouldn't say that. That's not true. I do gamble. I will buy Mega Million or Powerball if it reached like $500 million. If it's not $500 million, I'm not buying it because it's got to be worth my while. That means that's because I have money because that's what I think. Because the probability of winning is zero, basically. It's infinite. It's minute, I should say, not infinite. It's minute. So I'm not going to buy it unless, if I win, if I spend my money, because I know I'm going to lose my money anyway. Because the possibility of winning is very, very small. But if I buy it, it's like normally like 500 million when I buy. Right? I don't bet unless I'm almost sure I'm going to win. So I'm taking bets tonight. I probably shouldn't do this on this program. If you want to bet me, may I tell you the team? I may tell you one, we have a midfield. And two, the team will cheer. I'm not going to bet on Lord Ravel. I think Ravel, it's all hard for Ravel to come to my team. Because Rudolph said in the public domain about Ravel. Rudolph making, you should know about Ravel. But maybe can get pressure of a change in mind. But may I tell the people, the team, if Rudolph get him win and people decide to come, will be material difference. May I tell you that based on what we know about Rudolph, what I've seen of Rudolph, it's not going to be the same team. Uno have it totally confused, people. Totally confused how Rudolph operate. It's not McClaren and Rudolph trying to influence him because he wants certain things to get done. Rudolph is now the man at seat. Rudolph's reputation is at stake. Rudolph won the World Cup. Rudolph understands what 12 million mean. Rudolph will go to the ends of the earth to put himself in the best position to win, which means he needs better players. That's a fact. So I'll be shocked if Rudolph don't go out and get better players. I've said this from day one. I've said this not today, not yesterday. I've said it from day one. Based on conversation of Rudolph in the past, I know Rudolph going to try to get better players. But if you want to take bets, me take all the bets them, people. All the bets them. Me take all the bets them. Me take all the bets them. When you want to bet me, me take all the bet them. Nitro, no speed. Me tell the people, no speed. First of all, Rudolph has said this with his own mind. Two things Rudolph have said, which gives you some insight. One is, if you're a Premier League player, you're automatic for him. Right? That's not a question. What Rudolph has pushed back on is lower league players. And what he's also said is this. He's the same man that says if Greenwood come the minute before he can put in the list to FIFA, then got to World Cup, he might take Greenwood. Now, most people you hear would say, now I want to deal with Greenwood, him dust Jamaica. You hear enough people in media say the same thing. What Rudolph say? Care about him baggage? Care about nothing. Rudolph is about outcome. Now, he may be conflicted when it comes to his players getting to the national team, but now he's in the seat, it's a different story. Who are my ideal mids in a 4-3-3? The ideal mid at this point, given what we have, will be Hayden, Ravel, and Tyrese Hall. Tyrese Hall playing the 10, Ravel playing the 8, and if he's fit, and Hayden playing the 6. But we need more legs. We need more legs. We have a kid named Efron Clark, I think his name is, from Sheffield, play left wing, playing really well. He should be considered. We have, what's his name from Italy? Why his name is slipping me now? It will come to me. I used to play for Aston Villa at center forward. We need to upgrade people. He should be considered. I would get Lati fit, and Lati would be my defense if I don't have better to put there. To me, Lati's our best defender. Lati Bodier would be my defense. Not Pinnock, not King, not Dambakisa. To me, Lati's better than all three of them at this point in their career. King has lost 2 steps. To me, King is not there. Ravel has passport. Tyrese Hall has passport. Some other people work on their passport. I know of 4 players working on 3 working on their passport. I know of 1, 2, 3. 3, either 3 or 4 working on the passport. 1 I'm not sure about, but 3, yeah. DW, put your money where your mouth is. Let's not have the conversation. People, I'm taking bets. You have my phone contact. Let's talk. I'm taking bets. Taking bets. People say CM team, I'm taking bets. So long as he can get the Pika. The problem is, people, is going to be Pika in all of this. It's going to be Pika. If Rudolph still have the job, I have the petition work. Keenan Davis, what I'm thinking about, yes. Keenan Davis should be considered. We have the people that we have are not at the right level. We have player people. Our team should not be a team where most of the players are not getting game time in a club. That's ludicrous. We can't have a football team where most players not playing club. In fact, for me, I'll go and get players who are playing, and nobody will not get on game time at the club. Not can't start for me. Let me repeat that. Nobody not getting major game time in their clubs cannot start in my team. None. So Lati would have to go find another club in January. Lati, go find a club in January from Coventry and try to get some game time. Because I like you as a player. The team that failed to qualify will not qualify against Congo if we beat New Caledonia. They won't. They're not good enough. Right? They're not good enough. They're not at the level they need to be. I'm not buying this whole concept of, oh, we're going with the same team because we need continuity. Continuity to failure. We failed already. We failed in the easiest zone ever. We're going to play a much better team than any team we've had in this zone. Give yourself the best chance to win. Go get better players. To me, it's always about the players. We definitely need better players. We're not dealing with this, oh, we got to bring the same players. No, Ravel wasn't part of this failure. Tyrese wasn't part of this failure. We should bring those players in. There could be other players we try to get, but we should bring better players in. I know the coach went to look at Tyrese and came back saying Tyrese won for the future. He should have been a coach of the past because he has no idea what he's talking about. He should have been a coach of the past. He was part of the problem. We didn't make the World Cup because of the coach. I said we'd have made it despite the coach, but we didn't get the players I thought we'd get in. We didn't make the World Cup because of the coach. He was awful. By the way, people, if you like the show, hit the like button, please. I'd appreciate it. We only have 149 like. We have about 240 people in the chat. Please hit the like button. No, Hall is good. No, he's good. He's good. He's good. I mean, and I've said the Hall thing before, which is Hall gets game time at Notts County. That's number 5 in their league. Dixon get limited game time at Crawley Town, which is second to last in League 2. So Dixon's playing the 4th division of English football, get limited game time, and yet he gets great game time in the national team. And Hall can get a call up to be in the national team. And he got his passport and his citizenship. That is inconceivable. Same thing with Campbell and Dixon. And I've said this numerous times, not staying in. Then people say you don't like Dixon, you fight local player. Maybe you guys are discriminating. That's what the problem is. It's not me, it's you. It's not me. You don't want to discriminate against somebody who's a citizen of Jamaica. Not me. Yeah, I mean, he gets a lot of kudos. I mean, if you hear the compliment he gets from Defoe and all those people who coached him, they're very high on him. Right? Somebody asked me, but he's so good, why go to loan? Right? And I don't think it was the right question to ask, to be honest, because Arsenal thinking about sending anyone near out on loan because they got too many players. Right? When you're a top 6 team, it's hard to get into top 6 team, even if you're a very, very good player. Look at Enwaneri or Dowman, who are probably getting to a lot of teams in the Premier League. They can't get into the Arsenal team because top 6 teams are stacked with players who cost a lot of money. So my hope is that, and Notts County is afraid he may get recalled to Tottenham in January. I wouldn't be surprised if he get recalled. And if he gets well to Tottenham, we're not getting him. If he gets recalled, we're not getting him. We may have missed the boat on this kid. And then we complain about the youngsters don't want to join us. And McClaren was part of the problem. Nitro said, Dujon Stern is back and should have his passport by now. Somebody in Air 24. Yeah, I haven't heard about Dujon actually. And he may have gone to another source that I'm not familiar with. Yeah, 1-1. Well, 1-1, you need to talk to the JFF about that because they didn't bring him in. And I had conversation with people before the last window and nothing happened. I said the coach went to look at him and the coach didn't bring him in, which is sad. At this point, as soon as look, if it was what was the name of the guy from England who was coaching the under 20 who capped everybody over the summer? He capped Gomez. I watched Gomez come off the bench from Marseille today. He capped Gomez. He was capping everybody. He wanted to make sure none of these players going to play for any other country. He's just capping people left, right, and center. And we don't realize there's a war on talent and try to go cap these people, especially the ones we think are good enough. We're so behind the times in our thought process. We're so behind the times listening to those morons who keep having the divisive argument about local versus overseas. Lee Carsley, exactly. Lee Carsley, yes. Lee was capping everybody, people, to make sure, because they know there's a war for talent, and I want to make sure those kids, when we matriculate to the first team, don't play for anybody else. So he capped all those kids in the summer. It's crazy. And some of them will never play for England again. He said, Kranky, I'm sorry, the Federation is the reason we never made it. Yeah, they're the main reason. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. Greenwood haven't said anything, so we don't know. And here's another thing, too, which I think is part of the problem. Because the JFF has been so conflicted in terms of local versus overseas, they haven't made the necessary connections and created the path or a construct for recruiting to facilitate the ease of when players identify that they may want to consider Jamaica, how they engage them, convince them to make the switch and make the switch. So they don't have those relationships. Yes, I said that. I have to take that back. So I'm proven wrong. We didn't get the players I thought we'd get. Things just went haywire, to be honest. I thought we'd make it despite the coach, not because of the coach, and that didn't work. Good night. Hello.
Yeah, bless up, Kranky.
Bless up. How you doing?
Yeah, man, everything all right, man. Bless up everyone in the chat. You know, I think go like and subscribe. But I'm saying, Kranky, I hear you mentioning that you don't think Speid will feel like Steve McClaren, right?
No, not feel. I mean, in the context of this, he'll do a better job of putting a better team on the field, because I don't think he has any reservation about the recruit players that he needs.
Okay. So was Mr. Speid the advisor?
Yeah, he failed. No, he failed. He failed in the role. He failed.
So what difference Speid want to make different? No. What is the difference he going to make? He's not going to make no difference, Kranky.
No.
If you was the advisor, hold on, Kranky. If you was the advisor of a crew of a team, right, in a crucial World Cup game and a crucial World Cup fixture, that you know all the games that we have played, Jamaica played the worst football in the whole entire group. Trinidad played better football than we. Bermuda played better than we might be in the first game. And Curacao in their two games, and you as the advisor of this team. And Kranky, you're going to tell me now, change? It ain't going to be no different, Kranky. Because he's the advisor and he's the man running the ship.
Well,
and it was evident.
Right. So so it's a very delicate situation to be an advisor, and people haven't thought about that, right? When you're the advisor, even though you're the person's boss, you have to try not to usurp the person's authority. So you may be adamant about certain things, but you have to give on certain things. So now you're the coach. You don't have no advisor. Everything rests on you. And when it's all in your court to make decisions, you're going to do what's best for you and your situation. Now, that may be wrong in terms of what you do, but I can tell you that it will be different from where I sit.
Okay. So you said he's going to learn off his mistakes. Not having a proper attacking.
This is so let me say this to you people. This is not me just seeing his mistake. Look, I told you guys when I went to Jamaica in June at a tour conversation with Speid. One of the reasons having a conversation people beat me about and smile is to understand how he thinks, his football philosophy, how his mindset works, and is he truly anti-diaspora, or is it part of a larger challenge facing Jamaica? And I walk away with the view, which is this. I won't say what we talked about, but I got a sense that if you play at the highest level, you can be in Rudolph Speid. If you don't, it's going to be a challenge. That's what I walked away with. So the point I'm trying to make is this. If he sees you being able to be a difference maker, he's going to bring you in his team. We all argued about, and here's what Rudolph also did, people don't realize. Like when I used to go watch Jamaica play, Rudolph was never there. I was at the GenSec, I was at the president, and I always thought that was strange because a lot of times you see other JFF, before FIFA came in and had the restrictions, I would see all these people at Jamaica game, walking on the field, people who I'm familiar with, or know really well, they would have on the badge, or they would have this thing around their neck, so they are official. I never saw Rudolph any of those places. So he sort of stayed away from those. Behind the scenes, I'm sure he was influencing coaches about who to pick, frankly. But he's always tried to manage that engagement in terms of how he operated. Now he's the owner of all of this. So I'm saying, I believe, if he's still in the role and people don't push him out, and you hear my point on that, which is you shouldn't reward failure, that he will go for the best team possible, because it'd be suicide if you don't. He's not stupid.
All right, Kranky. So basically,
wait, Tycoon. I'm going to put my money on that.
Okay. So you can.
I've been wrong already, by the way, about the coach not getting to the World Cup. So I may be wrong again.
I am not going to invest my time and my emotion back in this Reggae Boy team until I see a new JFF. That is what I want to see. We have to get rid of this old boy club. This old boy club is failing for over 40 years or more. Captain wasn't the best because he's a part of what's going on, RIP, my mutual respect. But it's from that time till now, and it's worse now. It is time for us as a people and as a brand to be more professional, dealing with business. And you're telling me now, Kranky, that Mr. Speid now want to go for the best players now. Why Jamaica never take the football serious at first, knowing that everybody is recruiting, the world is fighting for talent. We have the players. Why did they put everything in measures to go for the best players from first? It's because it's a soup group.
I don't know what the reason is. I think there's so much conflict in the whole process that people are restricted by doing certain things. Because you hear it in Jamaica, you hear people like Maverick, without them want balance. There's a lot of pressure from the local Jamaica community about who to pick. You hear in the stadium, the call for Whisper and Dixie. That's why the coach put them on. You hear the call in the stadium for locals. So there's a local push for players, and that affects decisions that are made at the JFF and with the coaches. That's a fact.
All right, true. But I would say, I want the best players. It don't matter where you're born. That is my philosophy around the team. But what I'm saying is, if we're going to make mistakes, and Mr. Speid is supposed to be the man that's going to fix these mistakes,
right?
I don't see where he's fixing the mistakes. I see where we lose in a fan base, we fail to qualify for the World Cup, right? So everything that I'm seeing is we are going on a destructive road.
Yeah, and yes, and you're right in your assessment.
And we are hustling backwards. Because if you know that players out there, right, that you know you could get these players, and because you're suiting fan base.
Well, I don't think he was involved in recruiting. Which is sad, actually, because he should have been.
You were assigned to be the advisor. And the president came out and speak bluntly of you, right? You're going to be beside the coach. You know the canker cough, you know all this, and you. So what I'm saying is, the president bluntly telling us that Mr. Speid is going to be the man beside the coach, and he will make the call because he know canker cough. So they undermine the coach, telling me that the coach don't understand canker cough. That's why Mr. Speid going to be the advisor.
Yeah, the advisor role, the advisor role undermined the coach. The advisor role was a lack of confidence in the coach. That was obvious. There's a lack of confidence in the coach. That's why he became the advisor. If you were comfortable, well, you could have been the advisor from the start of the process. You didn't. You became the advisor after the Gold Cup, which means you lost confidence in the coach. And the question is, you didn't fire the coach because you don't want to pay off the coach and have that dead money, which is the wrong approach to take, frankly.
That was the wrong approach, because from the World Cup, from the Gold Cup, the world see that from Fox, ESPN, CVM, and every platform, right, on the internet say, listen, this is not the coach to coach Jamaica. It's simple as that. This guy was an agent. We see that this man in his press conference, he didn't have no love for the country. We couldn't have no chemistry with him. Even you cuss him all the time, Kranky, and everybody else. And what I would tell the JFF that the fan base that the YouTubers work hard to get, and to get back to love Jamaican football, y'all lost all that fan base. Y'all could have this fan base supporting the girls now, and the fan base will finish it up as a football nation. And it's going to be so hard for y'all to get back this fan base. You know what I mean?
Look. No, it's not. People, it's not hard to get back Jamaican fan base. Jamaican fan base are the most thicker fan base ever. Listen, if the JFF recruit a bunch of very good players, start play some break. If they make the World Cup, they might play great football, they might beat team, they might play attractive football. Fan base will come back. Fan base of bandwagon is then fickle.
Kranky.
Tell the tycoon. Tycoon.
Yeah.
All right. Tycoon, tell me this. You get some bunch of, you get Omar Hutchins, you get all them good players, you get Green with them to come play. They might play some wicked ball, they might beat team, they might challenge the US, and you'll just say, sit down and say, no, I'm not participate. Really?
See, you have to, the only way you can get about the fan base, they have to qualify for the World Cup. If you get all these players and we don't qualify for the World Cup, the fan base will still have a problem. But for me, a person like me, right, I would know that I have players for 10 or 15 years. That would have suited me good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
yeah, that's part of the objective. Yes.
Qualifying for the World Cup. I'm looking for 2030, 2034, and we have good crop of players. But saying this to say that, the federation itself have to change. The old boy club needs to go. They've been failing for years, and there's no improvement. And when you check on our youth teams and our senior team, is the same bull crop every time. Fail, and no improvement. Thanks to the girl teams that went to the World Cup 2 times and all that. But for real, Kranky, man, these guys got to go, man. When the world looking at us, we look like a big dummy on the world stage right now when they come on to football. But like the old saying, Kranky, when the referee is married to the captain, you know what happened.
I hear
the team game is rigged.
All right, sir. Bless up.
You hear what I said?
Yeah, man.
When the referee is married to the captain, the team game is rigged. Straight conflict of interest, and we all look stupid, and look like it's everybody in the federation look stupid, look dunce. It has to stop. I think FIFA need to step in and get this JFF right. Let's get ready for Nation League forward in September, and let rid of this old boy. We have the young Ricardo Fuller. We have the Tyrone Marshall. We have a lot of young players that are Andy Williams. They're doing great. A lot of young players and past players. They want to be a part of Jamaican football. I listen to the interviews, but a lot of them don't want to be of the present JFF because they are not professional. So, like I said, Kranky, man, we have to change. If they want good and they want the fans, they have to change. Mr. Ricketts, you're not a leader, sir, respectively, and I think you need to step down for the betterment of the football. Have a great night, Kranky.
All right, thanks, Tycoon.
Respect.
All right, so I hear Smith Bull say, Kranky, I look views. Well, Smith Bull, thanks for the view you just gave me. I appreciate the view you gave me, Kranky. Smith Bull, you gave me some views, so thank you. Good night. Hello? I think that call got dropped. Well, so me I look views. Smith view, everybody on YouTube I look views. So they wouldn't be on YouTube, they're looking views. But I try what I try to say. And you say Speid is the best coach in the Caribbean. Hey Smith Boo, I had to tell you this. I know you didn't know this, but we're not playing any teams in the Caribbean to get to the World Cup right now. We're playing teams outside the Caribbean. Just for your information. And Rudolph hasn't won any game outside the Caribbean. So Smith Boo, you need to go do your research. Nationally saying expect better from me. So nationally, so the JFF roll out the people tonight, people. Roll them out, JFF. Come, the contrarians are here tonight. JFF, roll them out. Come on the program. Give me a hard time. Bless up, Germany. Good night.
Big up, Kranky. Why you say? Anytime the day after the girl call me.
All right. What you have to say?
Anytime the day after, I'll try. I'm gonna see your thing. I said, John, I'm gonna have to stay home tonight. So I'm just, tonight.
Bless up.
Just let you know, the public space really need you, and you have some people really appreciate you. And one thing we know you do before you go on the air, you always do your homework. You understand? And you do your research. You understand? So I have no respect to that. I have asked you a question the other day because some people, and they were telling me that Mike Ricketts doesn't have the power to stop you down. No way, shape, no form. Is this true? Does he have any power?
No. He has power. Look, the buck stopped with the president, and I was told by a very reliable source that a lot of times what things would happen is some things require board approval, something require the president to make decision. I'll give you an example. The president was the one who, when they had the Vin Blaine situation, he's the one who made the final decision, you know. Because some things require board approval, but the presidents are influential in terms of how decisions are made. So when Vin Blaine and the coach and Downs got involved, the president was the one who became the ultimate decision maker. In a number of instances, even for Speid being coach, it's the president. Speid didn't just, say Speid just elect himself, but now the president, I mean, you heard him being interviewed and talk about these things. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. These are asking us. I hope that they are actually listening. We're a divided nation when it comes on to stuff like this. And what I notice is that who's close to who and who knows who, they will choose to pick sides, you know? The president is a nice person, I heard everybody say, but I think his leadership skills are weak, you know? And so we have to separate that. Your life is for the person and the actual job. The country comes first, right?
Yeah.
You have those who like the speed, you know? It's just, you know, we are all over the place now, right? And until we put together this thing, you know, as a nation and put football first and take with friendship out there and all that, you know, put the country first, this thing is not going to stop. Because I know he was the one that stepped in with it, you know, with the Vin Blaine stuff. I know he was the one that stepped in with another, with the Dalton, right? And said, you know, and I know he can. Yes, so there was examples right there. There's examples right there, right? So if, you know. Trust me, they are watching the show and them are listening. I will ask them for the bro, is do the right, you know, just do the right thing, bro. Just have some leadership.
But do they know? But do they know what the right thing looks like? That's the problem.
No.
I mean, to be honest, I mean that may sound terrible, but I think sometimes you get complacent in certain environment. You operate a certain way, and what is normalized is not good behavior. What is normalized is not good behavior. So you accept it as something you do, but it's not good behavior. These conflicts that we see here should be managed and rectified a while ago. They shouldn't be the way they are today. And they tell me they have a conflict register and they put stuff in the register, like writing something in a procedure, put it on a desk and it gather dust. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I listened to your show the other night and I was actually driving home and I listened to it and you were talking about the JFF Constitution and article this, that. And I was looking at the whole thing, and I was, you know, I went over the whole thing, and I was looking at. I think this guy is smart. He does his homework before he even takes the job, and he knows what to change, you know what I mean, and from what to change. Because there's a person that's in his camp that I talked to, and this guy will defend him up north and south, right? And one thing I know is that he's smart. You know, all they have to do is change name and change some titles around, and you know they know what they're doing because. Conflict, brother, is a serious thing. It's not even conflict. There's this thing called integrity. You know what you're doing is wrong. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. You know, but we're Kranky, as I said, we're a divided nation. You have some people right now who are saying are the right thing. You have some people in line with the president, and then look upon you as foolishness. Another thing, man, why you pay on those people mind? You know, they must come to the chat just to disrupt you.
No. My philosophy is this. My philosophy is this. You have to give everybody their time, you know. Not because if everybody disagree with you, it's boring, isn't it? If everybody disagree with you and say everything great is boring, you have to, if you have dissension, you have to try to engage the people and understand why they disagree and try to negate the argument with facts and with receipts and with information versus just discounting those individuals. I don't believe in discounting people that way. But yeah, sometimes some of the people like Reggae Boyz blog are just annoying because they're not adding the value sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so one last thing and then I go. Do you remember that question that CVM reporter asked the coach if you know his first team, second team, and third team, you know, his best team, blah, 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 in that order? And the coach was like, that's a dumb question. I actually think that was a good question because if you coach for so long, right? You must know the 11 that you want to start with. You understand and stuff like that. I just don't think that this man knew what he was doing. I think he was lazy, as you said. And I actually don't think that he was calling the shots all the time. I think he had other people calling the shots for him. And I'm glad he's gone. I hope we never look back on him. And anybody who hired this guy, good luck to you all. Have a good night, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the call. So let me say this, people, which is this. I don't think Rudolph should be the coach of the national team. I'm putting that out there. for a number of reasons. And the first thing I get from people was, well, who do you want to be coach? Because you don't have any suggestion, but you're just trying to negate what's been done. When you're trying to get somebody in a position for a role, you have to do your due diligence. I said this Rudolph a while ago before he hired McClaren, or when he hired McClaren. Because, Rudolph and I have been battling on YouTube for a while. And he said he wasn't coming back on YouTube. I'm seeing him come back on YouTube. I'm just not coming. And people have said this numerous times. Rudolph Speid was my first interview when I started doing this, right? And there was a reason why it's my first interview, because I do respect Rudolph. But I'm also a principled person who's going to call out things when I see them. And when I see things that aren't right, I'm going to call them out. I don't care what our relationship is. I'm going to call them out. If I decide, I've said this before, if you're my friend, quote unquote, true friend, and you're on YouTube like you're doing on a channel, I tell people I'm being a hypocrite. I'm not going to talk about you. I'm going to leave that alone. People can do that. If you're an associate, or if you're in this space, and I believe that something is brought up that's going to affect the national program, like a Rudolph situation, I'm going to speak about it. I'm going to call you out. And the reason I think Rudolph should be the national coach is for a number of reasons. One is the conflicts are too pervasive for him to be in that role. And secondly, he has failed. He hired a coach. He was a technical advisor. I watched the team being selected, selecting 2 midfielders to go to the Gold Cup and selecting 5 midfielders to play in the qualifiers, which was asinine. I looked at the girls' team a while ago. They had 7 forwards, 6 midfielders, 6 defenders. That's how you pick team. You got to equalize the team in terms of players playing in different positions. And also people tell me, well, some players are versatile. No, you got to pick your team balance. As somebody used the word balance, not balance in terms of local versus overseas, balance in terms of people positions. And there are players out there we could have gotten to help us and pick the same type of players who were ineffective. So Rudolph was part of the advisory team. Rudolph is conflicted. I can't support Rudolph for the role. I can't. I'd be a hypocrite. I'd be a horrible person. So when people like Smith Boo is trying to give me a hard time and Nash is trying to give me a hard time and say I'm this and I'm that and who should be the coach, did we do any people? When somebody's going to hire somebody for a job, you have a role you want. Don't you go on and interview people for the role? Don't you interview people to get the role? Don't you? I was told they have a Rolodex of all these coaches across the world and they have succession planning. And I said to the Rudolph and de facto indirector of the JFF, you should have succession planning in place for all your positions. But not only that, when you come to coaches, you should have a list of coaches that you can pursue who may have an interest in the job, and you have a hierarchy of them. And you have engagement with them on a periodic basis. There's a touch base because you never know, you may want to call upon them. That's why teams like Brighton does this on a regular basis. Like Brighton never struggled to bring a coach in, never struggled to bring in a coach. Never. Because they have a process and they're owned by a gambler. That means he's into data and he's into information in terms of how he runs his business. And in Rudolph Speid's case, he was their technical advisor. He hired a coach. I don't care when you talk about he recommended, he hired a coach. How am I going to support Rudolph for the job when he was architect of us not going to the World Cup, when we had the easiest zone, probably apart from maybe say Oceania with New Zealand, in the history of football, in the history of our history, and we still couldn't get it done. We had a zone where 3 teams from CONCACAF, probably the 3 best teams were hosting the World Cup, so they're out of the mix. We had 3 automatic slots, and we couldn't get one of them, and they put us in the CONCACAF set it up so way we couldn't fail. They made it we couldn't fail, and we still found a way to grasp defeat from the jaws of victory. Kranky, explain why Speid is technical director at Cavalier. No. He owns Cavaliers Nationalists. He's the owner, he's the manager, he's the coach, he washes the dishes, he does everything for Cavalier. And then he's a national team coach. So just inherent in that is a problem. How you make decisions about players, how you make decisions that may affect his club indirectly or directly as part of that. That's a problem. And if for anybody to even ask the question, that means you don't understand what you're talking about. If you have to ask the question, then you don't understand what the conflict is, and you don't understand what you're talking about as it relates to coaches. Let's think about this. So Speid is run the national team, and he has a Cavalier player, and he's an Arnett Garden player for one position. And if you select the Cavalier player, he's going to get exposure, and he'd be able to get a better chance to sell them. Why would he select the Arnott Garden player, especially if the level is close? People, we shouldn't ask those questions because it doesn't make you look good when you ask the question. Good night.
Good night, Kranky. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Big up to everybody in the chat. Kranky, my question to you is, why now? The Federation saw that this was the easiest group. They saw the mistakes the coach was making. We decided to keep him. We went into the World Cup cycle. We're still making the same mistake. Why the takeover now? Do you think Speid was, even when he became the advisor, the mistakes are still being made? I know he can't really, you do have to respect the coach. You can't just, push everything to the coach and expect him to do it your way. But why take over now?
Maybe he feels responsible for us not qualifying. Maybe he believes that. Look, here's what I think. I haven't talked to him about this, but here's what I think. I think he watched McClaren and realized he made a mistake, but he didn't want to usurp McClaren's authority. So he went as a technical advisor to influence, but it went bad already. And if he negated McClaren's decision, then he become de facto the coach. And I don't think he has a relationship with the players. So I'm speculating here, people. I don't have the inside information on this, but I do believe he realized he made a mistake. That's why he's been a technical advisor. He realized McClaren was not the man for the job. And if that's the case, then what do? You go in to try to influence, but also he probably allowed McClaren to make decisions, but he probably shouldn't have done. I'll give you an example. It was McClaren's decision not to bring in Tyrese Hall, right? From what I hear, because I heard the coach went to look at him and came back saying he's one for the future. Well, why is he not one for now? We ain't got no midfielder in the cam role to do anything. And we all talking about this player for the while, and you don't pick the player, but you can bring in Dixon, who is playing in the same league, and the kid is breaking up, is doing really well, and Dixon not doing well, and you still, I don't understand the logic. So, and maybe Rudolph should have said, look, but maybe, I don't think Rudolph also goes and look at these players, to be honest. I don't think he does that. So that's probably part of his failure, actually.
And that's what I'm asking, right? As far as, do you think this was, just looking at it from all sides of the coin, do you think it was Rudolph Speid playing chess instead of checkers? Perfect timing to take over?
No, I don't. No. He don't have that lens to say he definitely knew we wouldn't qualify, right? He was confident that we're going to qualify. I know he was confident. I'm a breach of confidence. I text him, I'm a breach of confidence here, to say good luck, and he came back, says like thanks, but I think in that communication I got the sense he was confident going to qualify, right?
Okay.
So if you're confident going to qualify, you're not stressed about anything. Then after I realize, you realize, oh, XYZ, this didn't work out. Shoot, I got to fix this. Well, can you truly fix it? That's the question. It gone bad already. I don't know if you can fix it. And you're part of the problem because you didn't make the right decision. From the under 20 to now, they are linked, people. If you had brought in Tyrese Hall for the under 20, you'd have seen them play. You'd have bringing those 14 players, you'd have seen them play, and you could have matriculate some of them, matriculate them to the senior team. You wouldn't have the midfield problem we have now. You didn't do that.
Okay, fair enough. What about now he's the coach? We were trying to get, they were trying to get the coach that coached Canada, right? Mm-hmm. But do you think that
I don't think they weren't trying to get any coach. I don't believe that.
Exactly. I don't believe that as well.
They didn't try to get nobody.
Even with Miguel Coley, I think this is a decoy in a sense where just to quiet down the noise, because I don't think he'll fall for that. And if he does fall for it, it's business. He wants a long-term contract. He just wouldn't come there for 2 games, right? So I'm looking at it now. All right, what's the point? Because we know, Speid himself know that the noise will be too much with him appointing himself. And he also know that the dressing room is going to be very divided. So is it a money issue why he had to really place himself there, although he probably always wanted to, but now is time for him to place himself there based on also, I want to be there, but also a money issue. What do you think?
I think money is a problem for the well, I was told back in April money is a problem for the JFF, and that they had to do well in the Gold Cup, otherwise it'd be a big issue, and it manifests itself that way, right? It worked out that way because it's very expensive to run a football program. You heard the president of the Grenada Football Federation walk you through why they sort of vacate. I didn't go to certain tournament because to hire private plane, as we all know, it's expensive. To hotel, it's expensive. And even though they get money from FIFA and from the Jamaica government and all that, and from other sources like sponsors, sometimes the money is not enough, even though this is supposed to be their best year of sponsorship support. But sometimes the money goes by quickly because you have expenses. And I'm not sure since Chung left how well they spend the money anyway. So they have money problems. So that may be part of it, but I do think it's him believing in himself and thinking he can fix this. Now, he chose the wrong team to fix it against, because I think Congo is more than he probably can handle, but we are all hopeful that if we do go to the World Cup, we go to the playoffs, we make it. But I don't think Rudolph failed. So why are we rewarding Rudolph? He failed.
But that's the thing. If I got it, that's what I'm saying. I have to look at it in all different angles. We know that Rudolph's failed. He's been a failure when it comes to selecting the coach. Now that he's asserted himself to be the next man up, if they didn't have the money to get a quality coach in the beginning, who's next? And they don't have confidence in Marin Garden. He's been there for decades, and he's not.
Come on, we know Marin was just a figurehead.
Correct.
And that's a problem, people. That's a problem because Marin at one time was picking the team. That's part of the problem, you know. Marin was picking the team at one point. Until the coach get up to speed a little bit, which he never truly got, Marin was picking the team.
I agree. Well, for me, Kranky, in hindsight, when you look at it, it's not just about the football. It's also a business, right? And I know you know that, right? You can't keep going to different tournaments and trying to qualify for different tournaments and not bringing in anything. It's like, right, you've been in the negative for past 7 World Cup cycles and also Gold Cup cycles, right? And Gold Cup money is not enough to really help. It's the girls that was doing this thing for us, right?
Well, no, they got money for Copa. You can't forget, remember we made Copa, you know. We got money from the nation. We were doing okay financially between the Nations League money we got for coming third. We got money for making Copa, right? So money was coming in, but then if you think about it, subsequent to that, we got knocked out in the Gold Cup. We spent some money to go to Unity Cup in England. So we spent some money was being spent. I don't know if we got much money for the Unity Cup. We spent some money, and it's expensive to fly players for 3 consecutive windows to come here, and most of the players are coming from overseas. Think about it. Even with this economy, for 3 consecutive windows in about a 3-month period, you're spending a lot of money for travel and expenses. It costs money. It's not, and then when they come here, they fly. So they fly. I think they were getting them economy because money was running out, especially the last window. But you fly private. You fly private. You come to go to Trinidad, or private to go to Bermuda, or private. It gets expensive. Very expensive.
For me, Kranky, I don't see this getting any better, right? In football, you need luck, one, and you need synergy, 2. And frequency matters. And with a coach like this coming in, that the division is even more than what it was before, right?
Yeah.
And it's also in the dressing room even more than it was before. So I don't see, as far as how in 3 months Speid can fix this. And the type of person, based on what I've seen, he's very pompous, he's very arrogant. And I don't see him being a person that can bring, quiet the noise and bring the team together based on him doing certain things that he needs to do to bring the nation as one, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And as far as him, I really think this is it. Like, this is where we're going to go. From Speid don't make it, he's going to be the coach. I don't see him, stepping down and giving somebody else a chance.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Yeah.
All right. I hear you, son.
All right,
Yeah, man. Bless up. Thanks for coming.
Take it easy. Yeah.
So, hey, Smith Boo, let me just say something to you, Speedy Boo, or where the hell you are. Wait, wherever you are in the JFF. Don't come to Kranky for solutions, Smith Boo. Well, here's Smith Boo. When you go talk to people in the traditional media in Jamaica, which is their official duty, us YouTubers are not that smart enough. Isn't that what you tell us, Smith Boo? You tell us that we're not that smart. We don't have no sense. So what are you coming to us about giving solutions and proposals? And by the way, I have given JFF solution proposals. They just don't take it. So I stopped giving ideas and perspective because it's not accepted. So why would I even waste my time? But Smith Boo, wherever you are in the JFF, what your name is, go talk to did the Gleaner give you solution? Did the Observer give you a solution? Did Maverick give you a solution on his Sports Explosion? Does Orville give you a solution on his KLAS? Go talk to them. They're the so smarter people. They're the geniuses. Why are you coming to me to a solution? I'm a YouTuber. Ain't got no sense. Ain't Smith Boo? 2607, whatever you want to call yourself, was probably part of the media. You and nationalists go get solution. Go get solution. I don't have no solution for you. I'm not that smart. I was told Kranky think he's smart and he's not that smart. So I'm not that smart. You go get the solution from the traditional media who are the guardians of information in Jamaica, who are the elites and the brilliant minds. Go get to them. I'm not that smart. Don't ask me for a solution. I talk for 2 hours of solution. No, I'm bringing information. I'm bringing perspective. I'm allowing people to hear their voice. I don't know why you come to me trying to give me a hard time. Oh. Yeah, nationalists, go back to your JFF role that you play. Have a good night. Go back to the JFF role you play. I'm not fighting the JFF. The JFF fighting itself. The JFF is the one failing. I'm not the one here failing. I'm doing okay. The JFF is the one continuously fail and still want to keep failing and want to make no changes and want to take no advice about improving. Don't blame us for your failure. Here's the problem with the JFF nationalists. You and Smithy, whatever his name is. Your failure is in public domain. And the problem with your failure is because you're so arrogant, it keep on multiplying. You failed this year badly, Can't beat St. Vincent, struggle to beat St. Vincent, struggle to beat DVI, struggle to beat that Waterdown Guatemala team, struggle in a Gold Cup, don't make World Cup automatically. What is there to celebrate? Please tell us. What's there to celebrate? That's what is there to celebrate. And then when you get, and in any country, in some countries, they probably put on a cross someplace, frankly. You think this is bad in terms of the negativity? You ain't seen nothing. Go to a really footballing country and see what happens. Go to some footballing country, you can't see people getting go in their house. What are you talking about? Jamaica fans are good. They're civil when it comes to football. We're civil when it comes to football. And you guys are complaining and whining about criticizing the JFF. Stop your nonsense. Stop your nonsense. You ain't getting no criticism. All you're getting is some verbiage and some words and people expressing their views. What should they be do? Happy and come up here and say, we're so glad we didn't make the World Cup in the easiest zone in the history of mankind. Really? Really? We should come here and be happy. Please explain that to me, people. The Jamaica fans should be happy and not say anything negative when we failed to make the World Cup in a group which was hard not to make it. Man, such nonsense. Such nonsense. Anyway, people, do me a favor. While you're here, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'm going to drop the links. By the way, my Balance View channel is growing, people. So subscribe to both channels. I wrote an article on Speid today on my website. So it's the first link. And then I give you a link to the website to go sign up. And then I give you a link to both of my channels, Balance View and Kranky Live. So sign up, people. Sign up. Sign up. It's a good thing. I don't understand, people, why you want us to celebrate and be happy when we didn't make it to the World Cup. Jamaica fans were all hyped, especially given after the hurricane, about get some alleviation and some euphoria, alleviation of the suffering, given what has happened, and it didn't work out well. And the blame can't be just the players. It resides a lot with the Federation. To me, mainly with the Federation. The Federation fought to pull defeat from victory. They fought to get defeat from victory. They fought it, and they got it. They fought well. It was a great fight they did to pull defeat from the mouth of victory. It was unbelievable how well they did. No, it's not a Chelsea kit. It's a Topsy. There's no Chelsea. Remember my thing. There's no Chelsea on it. We can't wear blue, you know. We're not enough. Ain't no two. I said, let's stay at Jamaica and we come to certain colors, you know, like green. We don't think that way. We can't wear blue. We play Bayern Munich tomorrow, by the way. And Chelsea beat Barca today. It wasn't even close. Yeah, Donna. Yeah, Donna. Me is something about I don't disagree with you, Donna. But we hear something about toxic boss man coaching national team. Me just say what man say. Go ahead. You're not coach nothing. Go ahead. Me use the same language you use. What don't you use? Go ahead. But you want to coach national team. Man have Malta license. What you have UEFA coaching? You have Malta license. Go with your Malta license. You're not coaching nobody. The talent not there because we don't recruit well. I don't disagree with you that the talent needs to be better, but we don't recruit well. And Rudolph is part of the problem because he's trying to maintain that local component of the team and don't go out and recruit well. We didn't recruit well. And we got what we recruited. Okay? Got recruited. What I can't get is a lack of strategy inciting the halftime. What does that mean, Ian? Not sure I get that. Kranky, you think Ravel's chance of being the team is a lot higher than... Well, let me say this, people. If any squad pick a Ravel in there, me not stop beat people. May I tell you the truth. And Rudolph know my view on Ravel too. So that may be bad for Ravel. Rudolph know my view on Ravel. But no, Rudolph can't pass the buck now, people. Speid can't pass the buck and say, no, if he no pick Ravel, we know him no pick Ravel. So him can't pass the buck now. Ravel should be in the team. People, when you make these derogatory terms about foreign players, there are no foreign players in the Jamaica national team. There are citizens. And if you're saying the foreign players are terrible and horrible and not good, but you're silent about the local players, you're a hypocrite. And you should not be listened to. So when I call out players, I call out the players in the team who I believe are not producing like they should or don't have the level that they should. A lot of you guys, let me call you out, like W.H. Jahoot, you seem to have this fixation with denigrating and belittling foreign-born players, but silent on local players. You're a hypocrite, and that's not a good thing. There are local players who don't produce, even though we've heard they're so committed. They're so committed that they go to club and break curfew multiple days before and after game. And they're so committed. And we had some asshole on the radio justifying that they're committed, they're more committed. Not being committed is going to a club 2 days and when you're training the next day before a big game. That's not being committed. Or you don't understand the word of committed, you moron. You don't understand committed. You miss the concept of what committed means. Committed to me means I will do everything in my power to achieve my objective. Which means I don't go to some party and talk about say I have to blow off steam 2 nights consecutively and break curfew when I have a big game coming up. That's not being committed. And one of them are, and yeah, people know, and multiple of them are starter. That's not committed. But we have the narrative in Jamaica by some people who will justify that because they want to sell them YouTube channel and want to sell some nonsense. Those people are the worst hypocrite in the history of mankind. They're horrible people. Horrible. Horrible. They're the most divisive, horrible people in God's earth. And they want to call me divisive. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't care if Ravel Morrison is on the beach with a big belly and slippers. He's better than who we are in the midfield. That's my view on that nationalist. I don't care if he has a big belly on the beach and can't walk and talk about why him look like him look slower. Who in the hell in the midfield could control and pass a ball? What are we talking about, nationalists? You guys act like you don't know nothing about football. Huh? Who in the hell on that team could control a ball and pass a ball or do a dummy or drop a shoulder? None of them. Stop the nonsense. But, Ravel, look, he got slower and in last practice. Nationalist is part of people. Nationalist is part of the JFF. You don't know him I talk about. He's part of the JFF. I'm positive he is. Can talk about last practice. Anybody in the JFF want to tell me that? I'm going to say I don't want to hear from you. You're not about football. That's why we fail. You don't know anything about football. You know nothing about football. That's why we failed. Ravel on the beach in his slippers and his long pants is better than what we had in midfield. He's not afraid of the football. He take it off anybody in any situation, any spot. If he can run for 20 minutes, he should play the first 20 minutes and come off the field if he can't run. He's better on the midfield. You guys in the JFF who are fighting against Ravel know nothing about football. You know something? That's why I challenge your football acumen. When I used to be talking about how great football minds you are, and then I watch your decision making, I walk away being upset and said, you know what? When you tell us our YouTubers who know football, we will make decisions that you make. It's awful. It lacks insight. It lacks perspective. You ain't watching no football. You ain't learning from football. You may go to class, but you should just get your money back because you don't know what you're talking about. That's why Jamaica football suffer because you don't know anything about football. I'm talking about Ravel not have this and Ravel not have that. Stop the nonsense, man. I don't want you the nonsense there. I don't care why I'm up. If I kick ball on the corner, I'm better than the people who play in the midfield. The people in the midfield can't control the ball, can't make a pass. Every ball we get, we kick it long because there's nobody go take the ball off them. When Ravel come play people, look when Ravel play football for Jamaica. I'm not saying Ravel is the savior and the be all end all, but he go find the ball wherever the ball is. He always wants the ball. He always wants the ball, unlike some of our midfielders. And I hear some of you talk this nonsense about him. Why national say? Let me go find what him say. When I get me upset. Ravel weight and how he got slower and how he looked in the last practice and being disrespectful to staff members. Yes, if you say his attitude is a problem, they allowed people in Jamaica, especially the locally born players who are disrespectful. And I know this for a fact. A lot of the locally born players who are very unprofessional, but do not call them out. No one call it Ravel. Yes, Ravel is a problem child. He's always been a problem child. That's why he didn't get further in football. But this is not about Ravel. This is about us trying to get to a World Cup. It's about us needing somebody in the midfield to control the game, to help us progress the ball, and we didn't have anybody. And we wouldn't call the player because he supposedly is a problem child. You know what? A lot of teams are problem child. We said it with Billingham and Tuchel and Billingham and Southgate. A lot of teams are problem child. Then tell us you're not calling Ravel because of his attitude. Don't tell us you tell him because him not fit or some nonsense. Don't stop the nonsense, man. Stop the nonsense. Well, it's a good thing, you know, Odell. That means that me cause problem. No, but now focus when people not cause problem to people. They will dismiss you. Say them come focus my child, them may cause them problem, may cause them headache. That's not my objective, you know. My objective is to be true to power. But may cause them problems and then come out in full force tonight. Hey, Neville Pennant, thank you for being a new member, sir. Hey, people, me have 3 new members now, you know. And I haven't even been pushing the membership, but I appreciate those who make of their own volition decide to be members. I appreciate you, Neville. Neville, I appreciate you. That's my 3rd member, people. The membership I grow. When we get to a certain number, I have exclusive member shows, for example. So maybe like once a week, I have an exclusive member show, and I probably more insight there than I do in a normal public channel. You know what I do? I'm trying to make this thing a business, you know. Let me think about it. Let me make it a business, yeah, man. Can we spend so much time I do it? Can't be charity anymore. Easy Walker, you're so right. We complain about foreign-born players in our national team, while a team who beat us as 11 foreign-born players that beat us. Isn't that a contradiction? Isn't that amazing? Isn't that really ironic, people? we're complaining about foreign-born players, and the team that beat us have all foreign-born players, and all I see is Curaçaoan in the airport dancing up a storm because they knocked Jamaica out of the automatic spot. Yeah, I mean, they all come here under this guise. No, nationalist, I think, is definitely JFF. Some of the things that he said, you can tell. He needs to take his bun home and go where he goes. I don't care. But if you're on JFF, I know freaking in my channel and getting perturbed, I can't help you. Sorry. And here's the thing, people. I'm only obligated to the Jamaica public. I'm not obligated to any special interests. All right? I'm not obligated to any special interest, only Jamaica public. And I speak true to power. Well, Whisper is the one who, remember Whisper didn't take a call up, you know. Here's a problem for Whisper. And Whisper is a good footballer. But Whisper, I don't think he watched this program, but he was or not, I don't really care. He's not getting good mentoring. He's not getting good advice. And it shows. And when you hear somebody who's supposed to be your agency guy come talk about blowing off steam and not respecting the process and not respecting the organization and not respecting the country by making excuses for his player, that person should not be listened to. And it's toxic people like those who will make Jamaica go in the wrong direction. And people don't seem to realize that. Because they give them kudos because they have some accomplishments, and then they'll realize that the totality of the person is not what you want to emulate. You don't want to be like that person. You want to run from them, you can come in one direction. Run from them. And that whole concept of them breaking curfew, and then if it was Rudolph Speid, they ain't playing in the first game. I mean, they wouldn't play in the qualifiers. If I were Rudolph Speid, those 3 players are not playing in the qualifiers. I'm dead serious. We can get better players. If I was Rudolph Speid, those people who break curfew, they will not play in the qualifiers. They wouldn't. They're getting banned for a certain period. They have to learn there's consequences for your actions. Consequences. And I know I can get better players. I'm not playing them. First of all, they ain't better than what we have currently anyway. They're good players, but they're not better than what we have. I would not play them. I would say, you know what? You made your bed. If we ban Trevante Stewart, when he and Bailey broke curfew, Bailey was banned for a game and the coach acquiesced for whatever reason. And Trevante Stewart has been banned since. We shouldn't have double standard when it comes to that. No, and special players do get special privileges. I would have said, no, the 3 players are in special. I would ban them. Not playing them. What did you say? I heard that the best player in the Whisper was on the bench. Not sure why they think that's madness. I'm not sure. DJ, I'm not sure I totally get that. Why don't you see what condition the best 30 players available? Well, no, we're going to have injuries and players not available. We should recruit as many players as possible. And we should also look, are there any local players in the Jamaica JPL who believe would add value? I am open for that. We shouldn't just discard our players. Players are not playing in the CONCACAF for Mount Pleasant, playing in whatever. We should see if there are any new players, not the same old recycled players. Are there new players we believe have the attributes that Rudolph can leverage if he's the coach? Because as you know, I don't think Rudolph should be the coach, and I'm not changing my mind on that. But if come later on in the process, he's still the coach, hey, it is what it is. But yes, he did. By the way, Trevante, I know everybody's spelled with an E, he's spelled with an I. I had to look that up on Transfer Market. It's T-R-I. Not to criticize you, Zontanas. I'm not criticizing him, I'm just saying his name is an I. That's something you go on Transfer Market, I was using an E and I couldn't find him. I was spelling his name wrong. But yeah, he got sent to Siberia and he hasn't returned from Siberia. He's still out there in the cold. It's very cold out there. But we do it for certain players and then we make excuses for other players. Players breaking curfew on multiple nights. I wonder they got rid of McClaren. Yeah. Let me see. I'm gonna close down some people. I said I was gonna do 2 hours and I'm at that level at that time. But before I go, I'm gonna say a few things, people. I know I get a lot of grief from a lot of people who have a different views from me about a lot of different things. And I appreciate that. As I've always said, I'm not in this just to make noise and not try to add value. I have my own perspective. Everybody have their own perspective. This is not a thing where we just come here and we all just agree to agree. We'll have different views on things and we're here to express our views. A forum for us to communicate, to engage, to provide information, to challenge each other, to inform each other, to learn, to grow, to continue to develop. Because while you're alive, you should be evolving as a person and growing as a person and garnering information from various sources. That's why we're here, right? But as a YouTuber, you do want to generate views. You do want to get subscribers because you want to show that you are also growing. And if you don't, then you got to think about alternatives. That's how it works. Nobody want to be on YouTube getting 2 subscribers and not growing. It doesn't make any sense. Then why are you doing it? So I've always asked people to hit the like button when you're here because, as I was told, they have algorithms. I don't know how those algorithms work. And likes help you get more traffic and may eventually help you get more subscribers. It's part of the process, people. But part of the reason why I do Jamaica football, even though I struggle with doing it, is because as a person, when you grow up in a country and you love the country and you want the country to do well, you should contribute to the conversation and the engagement and supporting the country in any way you can do so. And I think people who do these YouTube channels, that's part of their endeavor, even though they may have other reasons for doing it, but it's part of the whole process that you're doing. And my hope is that each of you who do visit the channel will subscribe, even the ones who are adverse to the host. Subscribe to the channel. Let's have the engagement. You're going to have a different view from me a lot of times. I see the JFF sent out a bunch of people to survey the channel tonight and to provide their input and try to challenge and to change the narrative and to influence the narrative. And that's their prerogative. All right? That's their prerogative. But I'm saying this to the JFF. We have been told numerous times you're a quasi-private organization, even though you do get taxpayers' money. The government provides you with money. So maybe the government shouldn't give you any money since you're so private and you can do whatever the hell you want to do when you want to do it. Maybe they shouldn't give you any money. Maybe the fans shouldn't support you since you're so private and you're not beholden to the fans. You're not beholden to the fans. You're not beholden to the government. You're only beholden to FIFA. Maybe you shouldn't get any support. And let's see how you function without support. Because if we're not supporting you, then sponsors won't be attracted to you. And the government won't support. And the government don't support you, which is taxpayers' money being given to you, then how do you exist? And how do you survive? And how do you thrive? So this arrogance that you have about you being a quasi-private organization, that can change. We can allow you to be private. We can allow you to do your engagement, but you may not have any support. And then how do you generate income? How do you generate revenues? How do you generate money? If you believe that you are not subject, you should not be subject to any criticism, any overview, any perspective from an audience, from the public who support the football, who love the football, who love Jamaica, then maybe we should divorce you since you're divorcing us. Because your level of arrogance is unbelievable. And you see in the UK, which is a good example of football, because they're at the top of the pyramid, where some owners will make decisions based on what fans say and do. Greenwood is not playing for Man United, not because Man U don't want him, because the fans said no. But Jamaica fans are being disenfranchised by the JFF, who has no respect for the Jamaican fan community. Zero. They don't respect us. They probably loathe us. They want our money. And it's not a good thing. And so the fans have to fight back in some way, shape, or form. It's not okay to be loathed. It's not okay to be disrespected. It's not okay not to be valued. That's not okay. I don't think that's okay at all. And we have to find mechanisms and ways to push back and to challenge the status quo because it's not okay. So we may have to find a think about where we can rally to change this. Maybe we withdraw our support because you can't keep making decisions and rewarding failure. It's not okay. Now, I'm sure Rudolph is going to come and say, here goes Kranky again, fighting against me. I have no animosity towards Rudolph. None. Zero. I respect Rudolph in a number of different ways. But you can't keep failing and expect to be rewarded. That's not how life works. You can't be conflicted, don't manage your conflicts, and expect things to be the way it is. That's not how life works. The president can't be an absentee president and expect not to be called out. That's not how life works. That can't be okay. That cannot be okay, people. So I'm going to keep speaking truth to power. I am always trying to be responsible in what I say and where I say it and how I say it, because that's the way to operate. I may get perturbed sometimes and emotive sometimes, but that's also the way I operate. So people, I do appreciate you being here. I appreciate those in the videos who have now become member of the channel. Maybe I'll try to push that a little bit more. I appreciate those of you who have subscribed, both to Balanced View channel. And by the way, people, I dropped that video on AI. You should watch it. Seriously, you should watch it. I know you get it from different sources, but a video I did on AI, which I dropped, I think I dropped it this morning, on AI in the future. You should watch it because your job may be at risk. And those of you who have jobs who believe that AI won't affect your job, you should think again because it ain't going to be that long. People like me who are out the workforce, we ain't stressed about it. I'm stressed for society. I'm stressed for people because people have no idea what's coming. And when it hits, it's going to be like a nuclear bomb. Seriously. And if people are not prepared for it in some way, shape, or form, I'm not sure you can totally prepare, but if you're not prepared, it's going to be awful. Speid was elected, for the board position. He wasn't elected for coach. His conflicts are not being managed. I just read out this evening, people. Go to the start of the program, the JFF Constitution, and what they say about conflict. There's no ambiguity. And those conflicts are being evaded, not being adhered to. So national, go back to where you come from, to the JFF, go read your own constitution, care to know what it says. And here come Reggae Boyz Reactor. So I'm gonna leave while he comes in the chat. I'm gonna leave when he comes in. He can come with his garbage as usual. I don't want to hear the garbage tonight, people. I'm just not in the mood for the garbage. I'm gonna relax and enjoy my evening. I'm actually gonna spend some time supporting the Reggae Girlz too. I know about that part, DJ. I'm not going there, but I'm gonna watch the Reggae Girlz. I'm not sure I'm gonna do shows on them. I'm watching Reggae Girlz. I am gonna watch them. They have a qualifier against Dominica on the 29th. I'll watch the Reggae Girlz, actually. And I think they have a better chance to make the World Cup than, well, no, they don't have a better chance to make the World Cup. They probably have a similar chance, or probably even less, but I think they'll do better because they have a good coach. They do have a good coach. The JFF has conflict policies. The Reggae Boyz Reactor, we ain't going there with you tonight. You know what you're talking about. People have policies, they put them on the shelf, and they gather dust, and they'll adhere to it. It's one thing to have policies. It's another thing to actualize and put those policies into effect and make sure you adhere to them and make sure you put processes in place and you do things to make sure there's adherence to the policies. Reggae Boyz Director, do me a favor. Go back to the beginning of the program when I started and go to the first 25 minutes and you'll learn something. Oh, I forgot. You don't want to learn anything. You just want to come here and talk and run your mouth. Anyway, people, I'm going to say good night, but I want to say all of you who have joined me tonight, I truly appreciate you. You've been a great audience. Thanks to those of you who called into the program. Thanks for being here. Those of you in the chat, even those of you in the chat who a lot of times are silent, but you come to support the program. I appreciate you being here. You're a great audience. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And we'll see what happens with this whole Rudolph being the coach come December 15th. And if he is the coach, and if the government don't withdraw their money and the fans don't withdraw their support, we'll see how it works. They can overturn this decision. But as I said, the JFF is not accountable to us. They do what they want to do. They don't give a damn about us. So we have to speak out. Reggae Boyz Reactor, don't blame me for not learning anything. Other people have. Don't blame me for not learning anything. You are who you are. You're from the same people. It's almost like having somebody who's part of an administration. I'm not taking any more call, people. I'm done for the night. We have certain people who call at the last minute and they get more call. People, I keep telling you guys to do this. My 2 hours are up. Not doing anything more than 2 hours. Have a good night, people. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye now. Let me do an outer since I've done one in a while. No, I ain't doing an outer. Have a good night, people. I'm not doing an outer tonight. Peace out. Kranky life is the best to be now. For the best sports talk and it's free, yo. Kranky life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Kranky life, kill them. Kranky life, eat them. Kranky life, want them. Kranky life. From the coast to the field, we'll never lose because Kranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Kranky life, kill them. Kranky life, heed them. Kranky life, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Kranky life, get to know the name because Kranky analysis is never lame. Kranky life, give me my Kranky life. I want my Kranky life. Must have my Kranky life. Whether it's football or track and field, you know Kranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat and subscribe and don't miss a beat of Kranky life. Kill them, Kranky life. Heed them, Kranky life. Want them, Kranky life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Kranky Live. Tune into Kranky Live. Like up Kranky Live. Subscribe to Kranky Live. Kranky Live coming to you on weekdays. Kranky Live sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Kranky will always bring the heat. Kranky life, me say fi tell them Kranky life. Me say fi heed them Kranky life. On them, Kranky life. Kranky life will be around. Kranky life is the best in town. Me say fi heed them, me say fi want them. Me say fi heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life. Kranky. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Heed, want, heed them.